Hello again. Today we're going to talk about chapter breakdowns and timelines. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to recap on it. By now you should have at least the beginnings of your novel. You should have your word count, your chapters all roughly planned out, say 20 chapters for the beginning, 20 for the middle, 20 for the end. All your chapters should be numbered in some way, and you should have decided by now, hopefully, roughly what the point of view is going to be. So point of view is something we discussed earlier this week. So going back to that, and in terms of the chapter breakdown, it's quite helpful, and this can be used at any time in your novel writing. Preferably you would do this before you start writing your novel, but if you find that you're getting a bit stuck, then you can actually go back and do this particular exercise that I'm about to discuss. So what you can do is all your chapters, you don't necessarily need to have headings for them at this stage, but you could at least number them. So chapter 1 could be headed just chapter 1. And then what to do is write the point of view. Who is your main character in that chapter? And that will just help you through each chapter to decide, right, whose point of view is it? And as I'd said previously, you can also do section breaks and change the point of view mid-chapter. But if you don't want to do that at this early stage, then it would help you probably if you were to just put the point of view per chapter. The other thing that ties into this in particular is your timeline. Timelines are notoriously tricky, especially if it's a complicated narrative where you're doing flashbacks and things like that. So you're switching between time zones and places. As an editor, it's one of the main errors that I tend to find is that, say chapter 3 is set on a Thursday, and then we go back to that very same scene a few chapters later, and it turns out that it's Saturday because the author has forgot where they were in terms of the narrative. So what would help you as an author is if not only did you have your chapters numbered and with the main point of view, the main character for that particular chapter that you want to focus on, but also if you had the time and the location. So it's almost like the way a film script would be set up, the time, location. Is it early morning? Is it Saturday night? Is it the middle of the day? Is it in a cafe? Is it out in the countryside? Things like that. And it just helps, you to keep a track of where the book is traveling to. As an editor, what I do is I actually do a chapter breakdown with every book that I edit. That helps me keep a track of where the narrative is going. It also means that I can find the mistakes more easily. What I do is I will do a list of all the chapters, say from 1 to 60, and I'll write down the location and the time of day, and I'll underline or highlight it in some way so that as I'm looking through the list of chapters, I can find very, very easily the timeline. Because if the timeline is a bit like the backbone of your book, if that isn't structurally sound, then the whole book will fall apart. It's one of the main reasons why I always suggest to authors that you at least plan some of the book, because you will have to go through this editorial process at some stage, so it pays to just do a little bit of planning, before you're kind of too far into the book. So I guess that's it, in terms of timeline. It's fairly straightforward. You can either choose to do a separate list or not, but I think as long as you have it for your first draft embedded in the body of the manuscript, it just means that it's easier for you to keep a track of where you're going with this book, and you can double check and go back and say, oh, actually that's wrong, I need to fix that, so on and so forth. It gives you less of a headache much further down the line. It will save you time. It could potentially save you money if you're hiring an editor as well, because it will mean less work for them to do. Therefore, they can't charge you as much. that kind of thing. So it kind of pays, pun intended, for you to do this. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. I will be back tomorrow for the fifth and final part of this second course. The videos that I've put up, they're available on TikTok and on YouTube. So feel free to watch them at your leisure. Go back to them. I'll always put a blurb underneath which gives you a shortcut in terms of which each video is about. If you have any questions, do get in touch. You know where to find me by now. And I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Happy writing.